Hi, I'm Eoin.
And I'm Rachel.
Welcome back and thanks again for tuning in for another episode of No Clients Were Harmed. If you're new here, myself and Rachel are psychotherapists who take our jobs very seriously, but ourselves not at all. We will be talking about the messy, funny, frustrating side of therapy. It's going to be mental health, but let's not get dramatic.
If you are enjoying listening to our conversations, we would love to hear from you with your comments or questions. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and the No Clients Were Harmed website. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you're listening. And please do share it with someone who would enjoy listening to us and maybe could do with a bit of a crash course in therapy.
We all have a friend that could do with a crash course in therapy, let's be honest.
We definitely do.
What's in the room with us today, Rachel?
So we're going to be chatting a little bit about how we start a therapy session. So generally, when people decide to make an appointment for therapy, something is going on for them, whether it's they're arguing with their manager or their boyfriend is pissing them off or they have a lot of stress in work, or it could be even something like grief. And it's quite focused sometimes. That's kind of the counselling side of things.
Yeah. What you're saying there is very accurate, Rachel. People don't just make an appointment because, got some free time on a Thursday night. What I do it myself? Yoga, go for coffee. No, I know. I'll book a therapy session. So something has been going on, something that they are stressing about, suffering over, whatever it is. They come in, they make an appointment, and there is this kind of emotional vomit almost of everything that has been happening.
Yeah.
And it can take a few sessions for that to kind of clear, to get that out of the way. And then sometimes people get up in their heads about, what am I going to say next? What's good enough to say?
Yeah.
How am I going to start things?
Yeah.
What's important, exactly.
And even like thinking about how we view ourselves. A lot of the time when I went to therapy anyway, when I first started therapy, I really didn't know that much about myself, and I didn't know what would have been important to say to understand where I was right now, if that makes sense. And I find that sometimes with clients, even when you said like people word vomit, and they always say it in the first few sessions where they're like, sorry, I feel like I just spoke at you. But actually that leads on to so many more threads of their life.
And it's so useful because we're getting so much information in such a condensed way, and we can kind of file it away and we'll revisit it at a later time when the client is settled and is more comfortable and is able to approach that stuff with emotional vulnerability. They're looking for something that's good enough to bring. And sometimes they're not used to being in therapy themselves, and they might look at therapy as their issue isn't important enough to be in therapy in the first place. So they shouldn't be there. And I always encourage clients that, like, what's going on for them is the important thing. It doesn't matter what's going on for other people. That comparison that is part of our daily lives now with social media and Instagram and all the rest of it, that diminishes and dismisses our connection with ourselves.
Yeah, I often hear that, like the minimizing of, I've heard people say, well, nothing really happened, like nothing bad happened. I think giving yourself, obviously it would be, your session each week, and really having a bit of compassion for it. It doesn't have to be something objectively terrible. Feelings are not logical. Whatever it is that you're bringing is so important. And it does actually make me sad when people say that.
Oh, look, Rachel, I can't be dealing with you starting crying this early again in a session, right? So if you could just hold that off for a while, I'd really appreciate that, okay? There is that thing, what's good enough to bring? Am I sad enough? Is this bad enough? And what we're looking for is, it's that connection. It's the relationship. It's giving us something to work with. And for some therapists, they will spend a lot of time working with the silence itself.
You can't sit in silence.
I can't sit in silence. I'm just fidgeting and looking out the window and scratching my chin and like, oh my God.
Go on.
Yeah. What I'm looking for is a starting point. And especially when we're just getting into things. And that's when clients kind of go, now what do I do?
Yeah.
And 90% of therapy happens outside of the room.
Yeah.
Hour once a week. It's to start things flowing. It's to model how do you make connections, to have that space and practice how do I check in with myself.
Yeah.
Like generally people, and I'm including myself in this, like we're unconscious most of the time. We're just going through things on automatic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when clients come in, and for example, if they're coming in for a specific situation, like my girlfriend's pissing me off because she's not made the bed again. If
How
so,
dare you?
what a terrible thing to do. But no, when a
Yeah,
client first comes into sessions, like at the very beginning, if they say this is one particular thing that's happened in my week, and if it's maybe an argument in work or something to do with an argument with a partner or something, although that may sound at the very beginning for the client small, like, oh, it's just frustrating, it's something that's just frustrating, it always leads into different branches, or however you want to put it, because generally it'll resonate with something that they felt before or an experience that they've had before and maybe had an explosive argument about it. I will often ask them, when was the last time you felt like that, or when was the first time what came up for you? And if it's a case of I felt really defensive, or I felt really, really frustrated, or I felt very attacked, I'll say, okay, when has that happened before? And it'll always lead us into other relational scenarios where they felt in a similar situation that kind of made that particular situation even more.
And one thing leads to another,
Explosive.
to another, to another, and
Yeah.
then we're very far away from the presenting issue.
Yeah.
So when I was taking the piss about the example that you brought, the guy he's had a fight with the girlfriend because she didn't make the bed, as problematic as an example that might be for gender norms and gender roles, and we're going to be talking about that in our next episode, actually, it's a pretty damn good example because it's something that on the outset seems minimal and trivial, and a client might not think this is worthy of bringing into an appointment. But when your client notices that strong emotional reaction and you're asking those probing questions, what does this remind you of, or what's happening for you in there, or what does this represent for you, or what might be coming up, then the client might link that with a disappointment, some judgment on themselves, about
betrayal.
a betrayal. She didn't make the bed and I'm always relying on her making the bed and I never make the bed, so I'm going to take out my frustration on her, but really it's about me. And we don't know where a session's going to go from the start, but we just need a start.
If we compare the very beginning of a session, say if we just took that example, most of the time that starts off with nothing's really happened, but someone's just pissed me off, but I don't really want to talk about that. And even that response and the dismissal, they're the little moments and little opportunities. It doesn't have to be a big, massive story about what happened. It can be that one thing that you've decided, or the client has decided in that moment to dismiss. That can probably be something that gives you even more context and more value in a session than one issue that you might be working on for months. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's the things that are generally unobserved that hold the most information because they can surprise us. There is a population when really work themselves into a lot of stress and anxiety because they have to say the right thing, or they have to manage the conversation as much as possible so that they can get ahead of whatever issues that there might be. And when something is unscripted, that's when our selves come out, not this mask that we feel like we have to be portraying. Another thing that's really good about that example that you bring, Rachel, is it brings up the conflict style. Like that client who's having that intense emotional reaction to, oh, you didn't make the bed, and that's ridiculous, and you know, whatever. The intensity of that, and then like what happens when she comes home? Is he sulking? Does he confront her about it? Is he off for a while? And then she says, what's wrong with you? Are you upset? And he goes, well, what's wrong with you? Does he project his anger onto her? So all of a sudden, well, no, I'm fine. It's not me. It's you. I'm rubber. You are glue. Bounce off me and sticks to you. Let's stick with that imaginary client. What are you exploring then? And in that, we're going to move on to the next section, which is it's giving conflict styles. What are you exploring with that client that comes in and has had a fight with their partner because they haven't made the bed?
First, how are they feeling as they describe it? Who are they angry at? What are they angry for?
Well, she didn't make the bed.
I'd explore the scenario with them. So what's coming up for you as you describe it? The more I give a bit of silence, particularly for when people are describing a very specific situation, the further into the truth that they get. Well, there's always going to be so much more to it than her not making the bed. But I would be exploring what's coming up for them in the moment. Like, is it making them anxious in the room when they describe it? Is it making them stressed thinking about that conversation?
And in the context of conflict styles, what are you looking for?
How did they respond? I'd ask them, how did you communicate your frustration?
Oh, I didn't say anything. Like, why would I say anything? I just banged some dishes when I was making the dinner later on. I mean, she should know, shouldn't she? Like, it's obvious.
Yeah, indirect, passive-aggressive style of communication as well. Like, that's obviously something that we'd be going into and exploring there. Because where is that coming from and where did he learn that? Or she learned that?
Yeah. It is very common for people to assume that the other person should know.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Where I'm so upset and it's so obvious to me, like, how couldn't you know? It's easy for me to imagine that my partner should be able to read my mind.
Yeah.
It's like when people meet us as psychotherapists, well, we're supposed to read minds. Well, no, we only work with the information that you give us. But a partner that isn't trained in therapy or body language or whatever it is, use your words. Be an adult.
Yeah.
Just tell them.
In that type of dynamic, those things are personal and can cause huge ruptures. Even if it's something as simple as not making the bed, that can end up being an incredibly painful experience if there's either aggressive style or a passive aggressive style of communication, and it stops people from being really honest about what they actually need in those moments.
Yeah, and it can show something about the person themselves. Like, I am tired and stressed. I've been working a lot. I come in after working till 10 o'clock in the evening. My girlfriend is on the couch eating Cheerios, watching Netflix.
You're describing me.
With just bags of McDonald's around her, and I'm going into the ensuite and I look at the bed and it's a mess. I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's not about the bed being made or not being made. It's about how I'm feeling, that I'm stressed and under pressure. And there's a part of me that's jealous that actually she has got all her work done and she's having a good life at the minute and she's maybe not understanding how stressed I am. But then I haven't communicated
I was just going to say
that I'm really stressed and I need support.
Yeah. I also think in that context as well, it really is such a clear example for a client that, oh, this actually belongs to me. This is not my girlfriend's. I think that's a really good example of having the client really sit with the fact that that anger belongs to them, or that frustration belongs to them, or the resentment is theirs to manage and theirs to regulate.
Yeah. And what we're looking for is to break the pattern of the conflict style. Some people are used to arguing and how they argue, and it can be kind of talking over people. It can be shutting down until they get what they want. There can be a bit of emotional manipulation of, well, I can't believe you're accusing me of that. And how can you when you know how much I love you, but they're not being clear.
Yeah.
And you can't address a problem until you know that there's a problem. There are people who are conflict avoidant. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to bury it. It's grand until it's not grand. And then there's going to be this big eruption and everything is going to come out. There's the conflict style where everything needs to be addressed in the moment. Like, we're not going to go to sleep on an argument. We're going to clear this out right now.
Going to give nobody space.
Because I'm anxious about holding this until the morning. So whatever your boundary about not talking, what I need is more important than what you need.
Yeah.
And within conflict, there can easily be a clash of boundaries. I need to talk about it now, but you need some space. What happens there?
The back and forth, I think, can be difficult. The difference between communication styles in those moments, because the emotions are so high. And it's so sensitive in those moments for people. And I think the pattern that people get into as individuals and then come together, it's so embedded. That style of, I need space and I need to be quiet. But to the other person, that can mean I'm being abandoned and they don't care. And this is a betrayal. And I think it's so important for both people to recognize their own patterns. It's not a betrayal if someone needs a little bit of space. And also, the other person's not trying to make the argument worse by moving towards you more and more to get it sorted.
Generally, the answer, if somebody needs space and somebody else needs to finish the argument, the person that needs space wins. That's it.
Yeah.
Unless it turns into a pattern of avoidance. If both people are heightened, the only thing that's going to happen, or even if one person is heightened, the only thing that's going to happen is something is going to be said that isn't meant.
Yeah.
It's going to turn toxic very, very quickly. So I would prefer for people to go to sleep on an argument.
You would?
Yeah, like if it can be resolved respectfully, protecting boundaries, or at least gotten to a point where both people feel like, we'll finish this off tomorrow, then that's all right. But if it is very heightened and somebody needs to go sleep on the couch, then go sleep on the couch, but come back and talk about it the next day.
Yeah.
Every healthy relationship, including therapeutic relationships, have ruptures in them. It's not about not having a rupture. It's about how those ruptures are repaired.
I remember when you said that to me when I first joined Peace Inside, and I was like, oh, no, thank you. I was like, I don't want a rupture. That was something that I really had to work on and work through as a therapist.
Myself and yourself, Rachel, still getting used to the dynamic of this podcast as opposed to therapy. We are humans, but we are also therapists, and we're finding the balance in between being serious and funny and entertaining and all the rest of it. But one of the things that I said was that there would be a little element of self-disclosure. I have done an awful lot of work on myself. There could be a hell of a lot more work to be done.
Yes,
what do you reckon, Rachel? Right, okay, fair enough.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
So I'm about to disclose something, and I really hope that I'm hitting the right tone, that I'm bringing it in, because I hope it illustrates a point. It shows a useful link. So for me, an activation would be if I am, by activation, I use that instead of a trigger. An activation for me would be in an argument, or if I'm being ignored, if I'm not getting a response, that sets me off. Because when I was a child, maybe I was looking for attention at the wrong time, or my mother was busy, or whatever it was, but I ended up feeling ignored and not being heard. So that old wound, if you like, gets activated in me when I'm having a discussion with a partner, or even at work. Sometimes I'm not getting a response. There is something there for me, and it has a clear link to I don't like being ignored. So if somebody is conflict avoidant, they're not going to say the thing to me that they think is going to upset me. That is going to upset me
that's
more than if
off.
they say that's going to set me off, rather than, oh, and you're an asshole. Okay, fair enough. I get that. Okay.
That's so interesting.
At this stage now, for 2 episodes in a row, I've brought my mother into things. And to kind of balance the scales, I'm going to share something that my mother has said about me. So when I was young, and we're talking kind of 2, 3, 4, if I had done something wrong and my mother had to give out to me about something, that she would be kind of standing in front of me, or, doing that thing where they bend down and get on your level, and she would be giving out to me about whatever. And I would be standing in front of her, my arms rigid down by my sides, chest up, chin up, eyes closed. And she could say whatever it is that she wanted to say. And her perspective is that I was telling her from the age of 2 or 3 or 4, it doesn't matter what you're saying to me, I'm not listening, you're not really here. And I was in my head going, and that really used to set her off.
Oh my God.
You can totally imagine me doing that. Yeah, eyes closed.
So
just
close.
like,
I think I've seen you do that before.
But it also shows where our conflict styles come from, like that we are taking things from our childhoods, all sorts of things. That's where we're trained how to be humans.
Sometimes I find clients throughout a session, the more they speak about something, the more they feel that emotion felt very young to them. It's something that was learned as a very young kid, and then in adulthood feels incredibly abandoning. It's such a rich but deep experience to get to a point where they recognize it's so much deeper than what was going on Thursday.
What do you mean when you say it feels really young to them?
So sometimes I'll have clients actually say the words, it feels like a
Yes,
tantrum,
yes.
that, and it feels out of control.
Hmm.
And they'll say, I actually feel like a child in those moments. I feel like I really cannot regulate in any way, shape, or form in those moments. And it makes me feel really, really young.
Yeah, and like physiologically, fight or flight system is being
Mm-hmm.
activated, and the blood flow is restricted from the
Mm-hmm.
logical parts of our brain. Like we
Yeah.
don't need logic. Logic literally goes out the window. Speech goes out the window because
Yeah.
we're doing what we need to do to survive. Okay, let's put me back in a situation where I'm stressed and I'm working hard, and I come in and my girlfriend's sitting on the couch eating
Yeah.
Cheerios and McDonald's and watching Netflix, and maybe she's even watched a show that we were supposed to watch together. God
Mm.
damn it, that's never happened in my life. And I come in and the bed's not made.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice that my emotional response is way over and above
Mm-hmm. What's
what's
happening?
happening. Like the appropriate response, I come into bed, the bed's not made. Oh, God damn it. Now I have to make the bed.
Yeah.
That's appropriate. But if I'm coming
Mm-hmm.
in and I'm raging,
Mm.
that's not about the bed. And it's a
No.
clear signpost that there's something else going on. But before I go and approach my girlfriend about it, if I can take some moments to myself to kind of go, what's coming up for me here? Then
Mm.
that gives me the necessary information to kind of go back to my girlfriend. And I'm saying, I didn't realize how stressed I am. And actually, I need some support right now.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling and I feel
Yeah.
like punching a wall. Mhm.
You're giving your partner an opportunity to support you. You're giving yourself an opportunity to really be honest. Be honest with yourself, or try to be honest with yourself at least about what's going
That
on.
is another presentation of conflict, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like those people who go, well, I'm just being honest. You
Yeah.
can say whatever it is that you need to say, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, why not?
Okay.
Jeffrey, and be tactful about it and be polite about it. Like you don't
Mm.
have to be blunt and rude
Yeah. And
and
disrespect.
disrespectful. Point scoring is also an issue, like who's right and who's wrong. That my conflict style is the healthy conflict style. I need
Mm.
to get everything sorted before we go to bed. That's the right way to do it because that's the way
Mm-hmm.
that my parents did it, or that's the way that I've been taught.
Yeah. Or like, we need to sort it out, and I'm the only person that's trying in this situation because I'm actually taking the time to sit down and I'm actually
If
talking
it's
to you.
resolved, it's resolved and it needs to be
Yeah.
resolved.
Yeah.
And
And if it's brought up again, then it
mhm.
wasn't resolved and someone wasn't being honest.
Yeah, yeah. But then if it's brought up again, let it only be brought up again once the actual topic of conversation is finished. That really escalates a problem when it becomes, well, what about this and what about that and what about the other? And
Yeah.
it's really hard to stay on track and deal with one thing as it comes up.
Yeah. It's like having a bucket full of emotions and then a bucket full of rational thoughts, or like, then all you're doing when you pull from different examples is putting more time, energy, everything
Mhm.
into the emotional side of things, and that there's no balance there. Then there's
Yeah, yeah,
no navigating anything. It's just fueling
yeah.
basically.
Yeah. And if something is done, there comes a time where actually it's not okay to keep bringing that up.
Yeah.
And I think it is justified to get angry. Anger can be, this is a strict, strong boundary, and that's it. Anger doesn't need to be destructive, it can be constructive. We talked about it. I apologized about it. If you're not going to accept my apology, there's nothing else I can help you with there.
Yeah.
You need to come to terms with that on your own.
Yeah.
Couples that survive after an affair, they
Mm-hmm.
work through what happened in that. The
Mm-hmm.
person who had the affair takes full accountability, apologizes, is open and honest, and communicates around it. And at some point, they need to forgive and move on. If they can't, then the relationship isn't going to survive because 20 years later, it's not going to be any good for either of them if there is still resentment in the
Yeah.
relationship for that affair.
Yeah, and there's accountability on both parts. It's not, it's not a blame, but it is recognizing that that person has their own process,
Mhm,
that they can do whatever they want with,
mhm.
but they have to take accountability for whatever it is that's going on for them. So that resentment that builds up over time is their responsibility to leave or to stay if they feel they really cannot let go of it, which is okay. But those that stay have to make peace with forgiving.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we're going to move into our spill the tea section where Mary's going to tell us a little bit about her brother who is pissing her off. Eoin, would you like to read it?
Sure. So, dear no clients were harmed, I'm kind of at my wit's end here and I'm not sure where to turn. I'm feeling unsupported and, to be honest, a bit gaslit by my parents in this situation. My name is Mary. I'm 28, recently single. My relationship ended a few months ago, but I'm actually okay with it. We'd been growing apart for a while. We'd been together for 4 years and a lot had changed for both of us in that time. We parted on good terms. And I believe we meant it when we wished each other well. That's so
Nice.
refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it? Wow.
My issue is with my younger brother, Sean. He's 24. He's back living at home with mum and dad after finishing college last year. He has always been a bit of a golden child and still gets catered to hand and foot by our mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well,
Totally silly.
speaking as the only son of an Irish mammy, there might be parts in this that I can relate to, but we'll
Yeah.
see. So, we have
Okay.
one other sibling, Sinead, who has just emigrated to Australia. It all kicked off when I was back home visiting for Mam's birthday. I arrived with flowers and present, as well as plans to take us all out for dinner to her favourite restaurant. Sean
Oh.
seemed to have a bee in his bonnet all day with me, delaying a family walk to the beach, making snarky comments over dinner. I felt like I was the butt of the jokes, there to be laughed at by everybody. Back at home, things escalated. He was saying that I like to be in charge of everything and that it's no wonder that I'm single again. Oof.
Wow. Angry
Yeah,
man.
I know that he is struggling with the end of college and being back home again, but some of the things that he was saying were really hurtful. He was
Mm.
making comments about women like me, thinking that we are too good for everybody and that my ex should have left a lot earlier.
Oh my
I
God.
admit I did bite back a bit, but he was very dismissing of me. He was only joking. I was too
Mm.
sensitive, etc.,
Okay.
etc. I called him a man-child, and he needed to cop the fuck onto himself. He didn't like this and began really shouting and becoming personally insulting. That's worrying.
Yeah,
All
it is.
this was happening within earshot of my mum, who eventually came in to take me away, blame me for ruining her birthday, and tell me to calm down.
Bla- Her mum blamed her.
Yeah.
Wow.
She says that I need to grow a thicker skin, that I know what he's like, and it will all blow over in the morning. She doesn't seem to see how hurt I have been. It's always the same with her. I spent the
Mm.
end of the night in my room crying about the usual lack of support and left as early as I could the next day. When I was driving away, I could see Sean waving me away with this sneery little grin on his face. I really wanted to punch him right in the nose. I can
Oh,
really relate to that sentiment. Like, I
yeah.
mean, if and I could just picture him waving with
Yeah.
this. Oh God. Anyway, back to
Man
Mary.
child.
Yeah,
Mm.
it has been a couple of weeks now, and no one has reached out to see how I am. The whole scenario keeps playing over and over again in my head. I've
Mm.
had enough, but I don't want the big confrontation either. I know that the next time I visit, it will have been brushed under the carpet. Do I just let it lie or tell them all to get lost? Oh, I never mentioned my father. Yes, he was there too, but he can't really do much to help in those situations. She will always protect Sean. Feeling lost and alone,
Oh.
Mary.
It's so hard with families, isn't it? There's so much more to it. Like when it's her brother and
Yeah,
oh.
like I always say, the people that are closest to us, they have the best weaponry to hurt us.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know the buttons
Yeah.
to push.
You know, she said a couple of times it's the usual, like no support, and she always does this. It's so much deeper, I feel like, when it's not, you know, the last couple of years of a relationships that you literally learned who you were as a person with those people.
I really admire the ending of the relationship that Mary
Mm.
has had. That
Yeah.
they seem to have come to the realization, being kind of very mature about it, and the respect that seems to be there.
Mutual.
Yeah.
Yeah. That really stood out to me because it was like, it sounded like the only positive ending to a relationship there. Because what she's describing, it sounds like this is a common issue that's coming up with the way that they're communicating. And the fact that she's had a totally different experience with her last partner and that's come to a really healthy ending, it kind of makes me sad as well for her that that's come to an end, considering that sounded like a healthy
hmm
relationship.
We
Mm.
mentioned it last week that like there can be healthy ends to healthy
Mhm.
relationships. They're
Yeah.
not attacking each other around it, or they weren't attacking each other around it.
Yeah. It tells me kind of her communication style or
Yes.
conflict styles. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And I
I think
think,
that's what makes me sad, because I'm like, well, clearly that wasn't an issue in a relationship for her, in an intimate relationship for her.
Mhm.
So the fucking family's the issue,
Well, yeah,
basically.
but there's things that we can't read too much into as well. Like for her in that relationship, that might have been the foundation for her in this is what healthy communication is. And
Yeah.
when she started in that relationship, if that person was treating her well and being
Hmm.
nice to her, that might have been really difficult for Mary to get used to at the start of the relationship, coming from the family environment that she came from.
Yeah. Feeling safe with
Mhm.
being imperfect.
Yeah, yeah. And now she has shown, and like clearly there's a history there. We don't know much about Sinead. She's gone. What's left then is the older daughter who has moved out and
Hmm.
the youngest and only son. And there is a bit of a
Golden child.
golden child
Yeah.
element, mammies and their sons. He can't do anything wrong. He's a golden
Yeah.
child.
My dad can't do anything because she'll always favor
Yeah,
him.
the mother clearly has power in the household. The father doesn't
Mm.
seem to have much of a voice, and that can be a bit of a pass for the father. Ash, or,
Yeah.
poor old dad. But
Yeah.
actually,
Bless him what he has to deal with, but he's an adult.
exactly. And it's up to him to protect his children just as much as it is for the mother to protect
Yeah.
her children.
Mm.
What's jumping out to you about Mary's conflict style and Sean's conflict style and potentially the mother's conflict style?
Mary's is sounding avoidant. Although she does get into a heated argument with him, but at the end she said she couldn't
Mm-hmm.
deal, which tells me that she's probably just fucking sick and tired of it from all of them. The mother, do I have to talk about the mother? She's really frustrating me.
Well,
I think
yes, that's where the good
Sean
stuff is then.
Sean is also frustrating me. Passive aggressive, aggressive. I think he's very resentful. Like I can hear a lot of resentment in what he has said to her,
Mm-hmm.
and aggressive in his comments and how personal they were to her as well. Snarky comments saying he should have broken up with her way before that, and it just seems really heated for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost as if that's what's activated him, was how nice she was trying to be to her mum for her mum's birthday. Does that
Why
make
would
sense?
that activate him?
Well, who's he angry at? Did he do anything to organise
Mm-hmm.
anything for the mum? Did he feel deserving of his mum's praise?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe not. That could be a part of it. Is he jealous of her that she has the ability maybe to be living outside of the home and coming back and visiting, and maybe has a job? He did move back home. She was very compassionate about him as well. I understand that he might be struggling because he's just moved home after college, and
Mm-hmm.
she's been very considerate of him, but it sounds like he has not done that for her at
Yeah.
all. When people go back and move home as well, sometimes they fall back into those roles that you have had your whole
Oh,
life.
here, look, we're going to do a Christmas episode. And
Mm-hmm.
Christmas time are those family occasions where
Mm.
people descend and get back together again. And it might be the first time in like a year or a couple of years since everybody's joined
Yeah.
together, and just watch as everybody clicks back into
Yeah.
how they used to be 20 years ago,
Yeah.
and 50-year-olds going back and visiting, and like, not there's nothing personal in this at all, like it's just something that I read in a book, that brothers and sisters can still fit into that same dynamic and be looking for the attention of the
Yeah.
parents, right?
It's
And
kind of paralleling what I said earlier about, it feeling like a really young part.
yes, absolutely. Speaking of young, what do you think about Sean's age?
I don't think anything of it. Why? What do you think of his
There
age?
is a part of me that's kind of going, sure, he's only 24. He's been through a lot.
No.
And no.
No, you fucking joke. He's 24. He's already finished
Yep.
college. No,
Yep.
disagree. Continue, but
Yeah,
disagree.
but that's what the mother is giving. That
Yeah.
she
Oh, bless him.
is,
That
yeah,
kind of thing.
bless
Yeah.
him. He
Oh,
can't
bless him,
manage
yeah.
his emotions. And that is so actually disrespectful towards young men,
Yeah.
boys,
Yeah.
and men,
Mm-hmm.
because we are told, well, sure, you can't control yourself, and
Yeah.
boys will be boys. And that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, to say that boys, young men, men can't manage their own emotions, frankly, is insulting.
So
And
insulting.
dangerous, because it means that women are always going to be responsible for managing a man's emotion, and that is crazy.
That is crazy. Even she was immediately blamed for ruining the whole dinner, even though there's nothing mentioned about Sean's constant comments
Yeah.
and how he ruined Mary's whole experience of it all. It sounded like when Mary actually said something for herself and fought back and used her
Mm-hmm.
voice, that's when the issue happened, not when she was silent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why at the end of that she was like, I can't really deal with the big confrontation, because clearly gives her a little bit more peace
Yeah. Yeah,
temporarily.
but yeah, temporarily, but like
Yeah.
it's just going to stay under the carpet until the
Hmm.
next time that it's activated. And
Yeah.
it shows me a lot of the dynamic that Mary has been out of the home. She's been in what seems to be a fairly stable, emotionally secure, supportive relationship. Hasn't worked out, but that's okay. And
Hmm.
she has developed. And I don't think it was easy for her to stand up for herself. I don't think it
No.
was easy for her to
It took her a
lash
while.
back. And that dynamic of, like, they're all laughing at me and I'm the butt of the jokes, there can be that role within the family where one
Mhm.
person is the jokester, one
Yeah.
person is the butt of the jokes. And that's a really hurtful place to be.
Mhm.
She's being considerate, she's being thoughtful, and then she's having this accusation of, because she has organized dinner and she's organized things to do, she's controlling. But actually, I see Sean as being controlling in this,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he doesn't have a lot of power, but he's exercising that power. So he's delaying them when they go out. He's making sure that
Yeah.
he's putting people down. He doesn't like the dinner. He's making himself feel more important.
Important in the situation. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And that, from a therapeutic point of view, my suspicion is that's because he is feeling very insecure
Yeah.
and he's not able to contribute. He's not, like,
Which means he's not able to communicate either how he's feeling in the
yes.
moment, like
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
And
Yeah.
like, he is young, he is immature, but
He's
the
not that
mother's
young.
only facilitating that. Like, just
Mm.
because he's young and immature, like children, like, I know he's not a child, but children need boundaries. Unless
Yeah.
Sean is told, whoa, fella, that's out of line. Like,
Mm.
whatever's going on for you, you can't treat people like that.
Do you think if she had said Mary, do you think it would have been a good idea for her to have said something the second he made a comment? Because she started speaking about the comments first that he
Mhm.
was making.
There does seem to have been a little bit of an interaction where she has said something and
Mm-hmm.
then he's dismissing her feelings that she's too sensitive, he's only joking. And
Mm-hmm.
what I would admire most in a situation like that, if you can actually come back with, well, could you explain to me how that's funny? And you're
Yeah.
putting it back on them, and then it's like, actually, well, it just sounds like you're being a bully. And
Yeah.
then see what they say.
Yeah.
And you don't need to engage with it. You can say your opinion and leave it there. I
Mm.
don't want you to talk to me like that. So there is this interaction, and I can see her frustration is building up throughout the day. And the mother, it's a question I hold in the back of my mind whenever I'm dealing with family situations. I wonder where the balance is in between peace and justice.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is a, like, let's get to the bottom of it, let's sort it all
Mm-hmm.
out, let's be fair to everybody, and if you're upset, but fair is fair. And
Yeah.
then there's the other side of it of, let's watch a movie, let's go out for a walk, let's do
Yeah.
something. Sure, it doesn't
Take a
matter, it's in the
breather.
past now. Yeah,
Yeah.
but there is room for a bit of justice and peace afterward, where
Yeah.
there's a resolution, and in a resolution, not everybody has to be happy.
Yeah, I think that's a big one that people struggle with, including me, where I personally find it really difficult if not everybody in at the end of either some type of conflict is, for want of a better term, satisfied, feels really good even. I want you to be okay, and I want you to feel, actually, I want you to feel even better than before this even happened. It's like
Mm-hmm.
understanding that can't happen for everyone. Not everybody's going to experience it the same. Even if everybody does feel seen and feel heard and all of those things, doesn't mean that they're going to feel happy right after
Mm-hmm.
or be really, really comforted in those
Mm-hmm.
moments.
Sean can't be praised for being abusive towards his sister.
No.
Within this family dynamic, the parents are the parents. The children are adults' children. So Mary can step into her authority as well and go, listen, ma'am, I don't need you to stand up for him, stand up for me with him. I'm a grown ass woman, and what he's saying, I'm not going to accept. And he needs to cop onto himself. Like, she can say that, but it makes things much bigger. You know, that question at the end, she doesn't want to have that a big confrontation.
Yeah.
So rather than kind of hash everything out, I would be saying to the mother, I know he's your baby and you feel really bad for him that he's living at home and he hasn't found a job. But your baby is also a grown-ass man himself right now. And I'm not going to allow him to talk to me like that. And if that's something that is hard for you, I understand that, but I'm going to need to protect my boundary with him. The mother might not like that.
Mother will not like
but
that.
again, it's kind of holding the boundary. And if the mother comes in and starts defending him, you can just say to ma'am, I wasn't actually talking to you. I was talking to Sean.
Yeah. This is a conversation between me and him. It's not for you to get involved. Like, it's difficult for Mary, obviously, because even the voice of the dad staying silent, that is a case in itself. The mum clearly taking Sean's side, Sean being outwardly aggressive. So I have a lot of compassion for her in that situation. But the only way that, well, it sounds like the only way that she can have a bit of peace and a justice for herself is holding it, not swaying with whatever the mum wants just because it's the mum's birthday. You've had many birthdays before as well, ma'am. Like, come on.
If I was Mary again, like, I wouldn't be having a family meeting. But
No.
if there was an opportunity to even kind of say to ma'am, listen, that dinner didn't go as well as planned. Can the two of us just go out for lunch? And kind of soften it in that way and explore it. Like, be a little bit sneaky around it. You know,
You
actually.
can explore it instead of going head first straight into you need to sit down and have this big deep conversation. You can test the waters and how comfortable you are as well to bring things up in moments.
Yeah. And whether Mary gets justice or the level of justice she might be wanting or looking for in this, she can make peace with it. That's within her power, that she can actually decide to let it go. She can decide to learn from it and kind of go, well, the next time this happens, I'm going to have a few stock phrases to have in my back pocket. That thing of, you know, doing a fire drill so that when the fire happens, you know what you're going to do.
Yeah. And you feel safe, like, in, you know, that internal safety as well to do it, and confidence to bring that into a dynamic that you've never brought it to before.
Yeah. And to be able to come out of her head with it.
Yeah.
You know, like, the whole scenario keeps playing over and over again in my head. I would encourage her giving it space. Like, she will never come up with a perfect scenario. There isn't a magic set of words that you can say to anybody, unless you're a hypnotist, to make them do exactly what you want them to do.
You got me to do this podcast. You hypnotize me.
Well, you know, that's why I'm not clicking my fingers. Anyway, so we're responsible for what and how we say to the other person. We can't be responsible for how they hear it. So with the best of intentions, with the best script in the world, she could say something to Sean and Sean just might not hear it. But then Mary needs to decide what is her boundary. And I would encourage her to take her power back in this. It's okay for her to listen to herself and see what she needs from the relationship.
Yeah. And it's okay to be, you know, seen as the bad person in someone else's story.
Is it, Rachel? For you, is it, Rachel? Okay.
I'm working on that. I am working on that. I'm learning so much that there's so much value in saying it's okay not to fix it. You don't have to fix everything. But that was something that I struggled with, definitely.
Yeah. Being a bad person in somebody else's story, like, our characters can change as that person grows.
Yeah.
And matures, and even if they have no further contact with us, like, there are scenarios in my life that I look back on now and I have a very different perspective on them than I had when I was in my 20s.
In them, yeah.
Just in relation to that question from Mary, where she's wondering, is it worth having the fight, or should she just tell them all to get lost? The other cases that we've looked at have been about romantic relationships, and as hurtful as that is, it's a lot easier to give the flick to somebody that you don't like in a romantic relationship. Hit the road, Jack. I'll say it if you weren't going to say it. So hit the road, Jack. We don't need you anymore. We don't want your kind around here. I've had enough.
We don't want your healthy communication.
Yeah, we don't want your healthy communication, Jack. Just get out. Oh my God. So the big confrontation or telling them all to get lost. There is a bit of a trend, that if your parents don't support you in everything that you do, don't talk to them and forget about them. And
they're not healthy. They're toxic.
They're not healthy. They're toxic. It's not toxic to have a disagreement with somebody. And sibling estrangement is actually quite common as well.
Yeah.
And depending on what the relationship that you've had with them throughout childhood.
Yeah.
But it is, and the age gap, but it is somebody that knows you and you know them. Now, there can be very different experiences between siblings of the same parents and of the same upbringing. Like no two siblings have the same parents really, because the
parents are at different phases of their life. They're at different ages. They have different level of experience with their children. They might be stressed in work. They're going to show up differently to different people, even if they are their children. No matter how much they love them, because nobody can show up for two people in the exact same way.
What is worth her saying? It doesn't need to be a big confrontation to set a boundary. And Sean doesn't need to learn all of the lessons at once. And he is going to grow and he is going to change. I would encourage, if possible, keeping the line of communication open, even if that is a birthday card once a year or a Christmas card, at least as a reminder that I'm thinking about you.
Yeah. And I haven't abandoned you. There's not a very clear-cut estrangement, essentially.
Yeah. And there is a connection for life. You don't need to be super close. It's finding the level of relationship that serves her and that she is comfortable with, but I wouldn't throw it away out of hand.
And I also wouldn't be forcing it either.
Yeah. If she decides to back away from Sean now while he cops the fuck onto himself, like she encourages, and in a couple of years when he has a job and he's settled down and he's moved out, then they could, people themselves change over time, and their relationships change over time.
And their values change over time. Maybe for Sean right now, his friends are his priority. He doesn't really prioritize family. Maybe that's why he didn't necessarily organize anything. Those types of things shift as well and change the way we interact with people.
Yeah. And just to say it, just in case Sean isn't just being an asshole, that there is something going on with him, that somebody can kind of check in. Listen, you were a bit mean over dinner the other night. Are you okay? How are you doing?
What's that about?
Yeah. To give him the opportunity to open up, whether he takes it or not, that's
up to him.
That's up to him. Okay, so let's leave Sean and Mary there, and we've come to the end of another episode of No Clients Were Harmed. Thanks very much for joining us again today. I hope you've enjoyed yourself as much as we have.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, share wherever you get your podcasts, and please do send it to someone that you think would benefit to listening to us ranting away.
We'd love to hear from you. If there's something in particular you'd like us to address, or perhaps some challenge you have been facing in your life that you could get an outside perspective on, please drop us a line. We'll meet you again for our next episode, where we're going to be taking a bit of a look at the gender wars and why it's giving Hunger Games out there.
As usual, and as always, no clients were harmed. Look after yourselves and each other, and if you're going to take the piss, make sure that it's not toxic.